Having a learning disability has just been a way of life for me. I was diagnosed early on.
Welcome to the Unknown Options, a place where we explore the unknown options. My name is Will, and today I have with me Michelle. Michelle, it's great to have you here. Give us a rundown on who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Michelle Steiner. I live in Pennsylvania with my husband and our two cats, Jack and Sparrow. And I work as a teacher's aide in a school with students with and without disabilities.
I love it. Thank you, Michelle. Your journey is important. So we want to highlight what you do, the good, the bad, and the ugly. For someone who might not know, what is a teacher's aide?
A teacher's aide or a paraprofessional is somebody that supports the teacher and the students. So a lot of times my job is I'll go into a classroom and it's never the same every day. Yeah. Sometimes I might have to help a student that just can't get the subject. Other times it might be appropriate to read a test to a student that might be struggling and they learn better if someone reads that to them. Other times the teacher might have me do some other tasks and some jobs that'll help them out as well.
I love it. How did you get started as a teacher's aide?
Well, I definitely knew with having a learning disability that I always wanted to work with kids in a school setting. And after I went to college, I started subbing in some classrooms. I have worked from children starting in preschool all the way up to students that were in their senior year of high school. And I just was in a wide variety of different places as a substitute paraprofessional. During that time, I went back to school and I wasn't able to sub at that point when I went back to university. And whenever I graduated from college, it took a while to find this job that I'm at now. Mm-hmm. I worked at some other places and I just came back to the place that I originally started out with working, and I was able to get a part-time permanent position as a teacher's aide.
Nice. I love that journey. You highlighted something earlier. You said that you wanted to teach because you had a learning disability. Can you tell us a little bit more about life as Michelle with a learning disability, if you'd like to?
Having a learning disability has just been a way of life for me. I was diagnosed early on. I found out I had a learning disability when I was in kindergarten. My kindergarten teacher saw that I was struggling academically with things, and I was also struggling socially. And she recommended that I get tested for having a learning disability. And sure enough, when they got the results back, I definitely have one. At the time, they didn't give a lot of specific learning disabilities, except for maybe dyslexia, which I don't have. I have dyscalculia, which is a math learning disability, and I also have visual perception issues, but it's in my brain, not in my eyes. And I have limited hand dexterity that they didn't find out till I was an adult. But what we knew when I was in kindergarten was that I was not going to be a mathematician and that I definitely was going to have some challenges that would come along with learning.
Definitely. I like that. So tell us a little bit, obviously like people's career journeys start when they're young, usually. Tell us about like how, obviously you said you wanted to get into, education because of your disability. How did your disabilities influence your high school and then college years propelling you into your career?
Well, I had a lot of teachers who didn't think that I could go to college. I had a learning support teacher with my difficulties with math who didn't think that I could handle that and recommended a vocational training program. And nothing there interested me. And I also had a teacher that was a student teacher who saw a lot of the potential. She said, you know how to study, you can go to college. And sometimes when things got really hard, that was the voice that I remembered. And one of the things to get accommodations when I went to school was I had to be tested for having a learning disability again. And I got involved with an agency that was definitely helps people, called Office for Vocational Rehabilitation.
Huh?
They have one in every state. It's a federal program. Wonderful for paying for testing and for college. They really excel at doing those. And I had to be tested, and I'm never been a great test taker. And the psychiatrist who evaluated me said most likely I wouldn't go beyond a community college. And
Mm,
they didn't think that I could do things with writing, which is another passion of mine. And I was really discouraged, but I still went forth and went to community college. And I found even more stigma once I got there. I had a professor who told me that uh, I would have really limited job choices with my disability. And there were disability accommodations, but a lot of my peers were telling me, well, that gives you an unfair advantage, and that was cheating. And because of that, I didn't use them. And I really should have, because my grades plummeted. I was
mm,
really struggling. And it wasn't until I had a professor that told me, I really think that you could benefit from using, at least get you extended test time. If you use the accommodations, that would really benefit you. And when I used them, I was able to pass her class. I didn't do
nice,
well. And I was able to graduate with my associates in early childhood education.
nice.
And I was able to sub and have some temp jobs. And I knew I wanted to work with kids in a school, but I knew being a teacher wasn't going to be the best route for me. A lot of times, if you're going to be a teacher, you have to master a lot of subject area
Mhm.
that is just very difficult for me, such as math and or other subjects. And I also knew you would have to pass a praxis and some other testing just to get into the College of Education. And with my test scores, I knew that just wasn't a wise choice. And a lot of
Mhm.
people didn't understand that. I can remember somebody telling me, if I could just get my act together, I could be an elementary school teacher.
Mhm.
And it just never was something that I felt that I could do. But luckily, I was able to find a program that did the service end of special education when I went back to university. And they had a lot of teachers, some of them, or a lot of people in the program. Some of them had disabilities, some of them didn't, but they couldn't pass that praxis, or just going into being a teacher wasn't the best option. But there was another program that could give them still that opportunity to work with kids or to work with adults and just to be able to make a difference.
Okay, I love that. You said a lot there, but it was great hearing your journey and how
Mhm.
you were constantly told no, constantly like faced against like stigmas
Mhm.
that I'm sure like you and other people that have disabilities face every single day, but you overcame them, got your associates, then became that teacher's aide. Um, how we'll go there later. I want to go there later. But why is it important for students that have disabilities to learn from teachers that have disabilities also? Why is that important?
I think that it's really important for disability representation. I think a lot of times I can remember growing up, and I didn't know a lot of people that had a learning disability and were successful. And I
Mm,
certainly didn't know a lot of people that had a math learning disability, because everybody seemed to think, oh, they were so familiar with reading disabilities. And I think when I'm in the classroom, all the kids know, and they're probably going to find out this week because school is starting. I give my little disclaimer at the beginning. If it's a study hall or a learning support class, I can help you with your reading and your English, but I'm not able to help you with math. That's usually my little note that I give.
yeah.
And I think that's important because a lot of students, they tend to think, oh, a teacher or a para, they can do anything. And there's limitations that all of us have. Everybody has things that they're good at, everybody has things that they struggle with. And I think the most telling was I was in a class and I had a student that said, can you help me with my math? And I said, well, I can't do that. And I had a little girl that said, uh, well, why can't you? And I said, well, I'm just not very good at it. And she said, well, that's me too. And just giving that uh, assurance that it's okay that we have things that are hard and are difficult.
Yeah, I love that. Representation is important. It's
Mhm.
definitely important. Could you give us like your day to day? What does an average day to day look for you being a teacher's aide?
Sure. Every day is different. There is not a typical day, but usually what I'll do is I will go into different classes with the students and I do the best that I can do to be able to help them. I have a schedule that I follow and we go into the room and every room is different. Every child is different and every day is different. But what we try to do is just be able to assist the student in the classroom, and that can look different in different situations. Sometimes it's just redirecting a student that may be off task to pay attention to what's going on. Other times it might mean reading a test to a student. Sometimes going and reinforcing a lesson that a student might just may not be able to get. Reading with them too, with coursework. It can also mean uh, escorting students that need that support in the hallway for whatever reason. It also means reteaching things. I can remember in the previous years, I would do spelling words with the students and doing cards with them to just be able to reinforce that concept of how we spell words. Sometimes we organize backpacks. I can remember at the beginning of last year, I had a student that I was constantly putting papers in, throwing them out, showing her how to organize her stuff. And then by the time the second semester rolled around, she was asking me how to spell extra papers and was going through her bag and organizing
Nice.
things.
Okay. Well, we're gonna do one more question, then we're gonna hop
Okay.
into the speed round.
Okay.
Um, Usually I ask is are there barrier to entries in this field? But I want to ask you a specific question. Are there what are the barriers to entry that you have faced being or having a disability? And then do you expect those limitations to grow in the future or do you expect them to decline?
I think probably some of the barriers have been finding the right program for me. It's not that I can't necessarily do something, it's being able to find a program or something that's going to work for me, especially when I was in school. Just finding that right program that had the disability accommodations, but also had something that I was interested in and was something that I could do.
Nice. I love it. Okay. Thank you, Michelle. We're gonna hop to the not so speed round. It's about like
Okay.
8 questions, and we're gonna
Okay.
try to answer them quick. They don't have
Sure.
to be quick if you don't want to, but they're gonna, I guess, be like little thoughtful questions.
Okay.
What are 4 words that describe a teacher's aide?
That uh, caring, compassionate, dedicated, and somebody that just wants to make a difference.
I like that. Can you expound on? I know why, but I want the audience to know why. Caring.
I think it's caring because we definitely want our students to succeed. We definitely care about our students, especially some students that might come from some home lives that might be rather difficult. We just try to go in and give them the support and the tools they need to be successful adults in the future.
Definitely, I love it. What's a profession that's most like that you would think is most like being a teacher's aide? Another profession.
I think teaching is definitely something that
Okay.
goes along that.
Yeah.
That's one of those that definitely mirrors that. And I also think people that might work in a group home as a personal care assistant, that's
Okay.
another one that definitely parallels that.
I like that. My father's in kind of like a nursing facility, so it's like
Okay.
definitely like that same I guess vibe that makes sense. What does a world look like? I'm gonna switch this question up a little bit. What does a world look like without teachers aides? Like how or maybe what does education look like without teachers aides?
I think without teachers' aides, it's really difficult for the teachers that we support to get things done. A lot of times they're busy with doing a lot of paperwork, especially within our special ed department. They have your typical paperwork that every
Mm,
other staff member has to do, but they're completing individualized education plans, and that takes a lot out of them as well, and they're trying to answer phone calls from parents and trying to teach the information. And that means a lot without having a lot of paraeducators in the room. That means a lot of students fall through the cracks. Some of them aren't
true.
able to get some of that information. They're not able to get that extra set of hands without us there.
True. I like that. Making sure everyone gets the love in the room.
Mhm.
Um, what's the I wouldn't say what's the worst stigma associated with teacher's aid, but what's like the worst stigma that you faced being a disabled person looking for work?
I think the worst stigma that I have faced is people with disabilities can't learn or can't perform at a job. A lot of times people hear the word disability, and I'm careful sometimes not to use it in interviews. I've had ones where I have, and it's worked out beautifully, and I've had other ones where it hasn't exactly worked out in my favor. But I
Mhm.
think sometimes when we say the word disability, automatically it becomes what the person can't do rather than, okay, what can you bring to the table, and how can we work around the disability?
I love that. Yeah, it's more of a they have more of a negative as a negative
Yeah.
connotation when it could be should be a positive because like you said earlier, you said everyone has things they can't do. Like and you're 100% correct because I'm not that good at math either. I failed statistics twice in college, so I
Oh my
mean
gosh.
yeah. So I mean it makes sense. If you're 100% spot on. I love that. Are you underpaid or overpaid as a teacher's aide?
I would say we're underpaid. It's just
Underpaid.
one of those situations. Yeah.
True.
And
Is there a
everybody
reason why you think, or is
wishes
it
that
kind
we
of
could make
just
more too. And yeah, but we love our
we?
job. That's why we go there. We love working with the students. We love seeing them thrive, and we love the staff that we work with. And we couldn't imagine doing something else.
I love that. You're like a bright light in humanity. Because me, I know me. I'm like, oh, they not pay me enough. I'm gone.
Right.
Well, what's a one person, book, or event that changed your life for the better?
I think the people that changed my life for the better were my parents. They were the ones who never gave up on me from the time I was really small. They explained my learning disability in a lot of simple, age appropriate terms, and they assured me that I was smart and they advocated for me. And I would also love to add the wonderful friends that I made.
Mhm.
We still have a friendship 20 years later.
Nice.
And they were also the ones that supported me and gave me that acceptance and just were able to be my friend throughout everything.
Nice. I love that. Encouraging parents, people don't really realize, or some people don't realize how important like having encouraging, supportive parents are. And I
Mhm.
think some people, correct me if I'm wrong, in the disabled people that are some people that are in the disabled community, their parents like just give up on them. They're like, hey, they can't learn
Yeah.
properly, and they don't even try to encourage them. But look at you, like you're a
Mhm.
highly functioning citizen, working a great job, successful, and it's like just because your parents chose to support rather than give up on you.
Yep.
Makes sense. Last question, Michelle. Let's say we have a disabled man. Let's call him Tim. Or let's not disabled. He has a disability, maybe a learning disability. He's
Mhm.
looking for work. He needs a job. He's 18 years old, just graduated high school. What steps do you give him to find work? If that makes sense.
Well, one of the first things I would encourage them to do is to get connected with Office for Vocational Rehabilitation for guidance, definitely on maybe what their plan is, whether that's going back to school or is it a technical school that they want to do. And I'd also encourage them to know what they want. If they want to go to college, that's wonderful. If they want to go to tech school, that's also a great option. Or if they want to work, I think it's looking at all those options and seeing what accommodations that they have and using them and being able to find a way to do what they want to do and just taking that advice that you might get from other people and just hang in there.
I love it. Michelle, it has been an honor. Give a give like a little closing, not necessarily speech, but words. I know you do some more things on the side that we talked about prior to the interview. Talk about what you do on the side and other gigs you have going on, and then I'll close us out.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Also work as a disability writer. I have always found writing to be very healing for me. And I had a friend in a writing group that said, you should really write about having a learning disability. And I said, oh, that's too personal for me. And once I got that first article published, I just definitely felt very much like supported that encouraged me to reach out and write more articles. And I started my own blog called Michelle's Mission. And I'm starting to do marketing and content for another group as well.
Nice. We love it. Is Michelle Wrights, is it a website?
MichellesMission.net
Michelle's Mission.
is a website, yes. And I also
Awesome.
have a little store on there that I have my photography, because that's another passion, and my artwork, and a forum as well.
Perfect. Awesome. I'll tag it in the video and in the thumbnail below so people can come check it out. Well, thank you, Michelle. It has been an honor. We really appreciate you talking about your journey, having a disability at a young age, conquering, and then becoming a teacher's aide, having successful, then becoming a writer. And I know you're gonna do even more things too with that. Thank you for joining us on the Unknown Options. You guys, if you enjoyed this interview, please check out Michelle's content. Please comment, like, and subscribe. You guys have a nice day.